Hey, welcome back, everybody. Mike on a platter. Jorge
Hello.
Castillo.
That's me.
And we got a very special guest here today, Mr. Richard Balta.
Who's
All
that
right.
guy?
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Yo, dude, great to have you here. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Always, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
All right, what the hell are we drinking tonight?
Bourbon.
You got the Woodford Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're sticking with the old school black label.
Yeah, Johnny Walker Black Label, can't go wrong. Perfect middle of the road.
Johnny
right
always keeps on walking, you know?
there. Totally. So we wanted to have Richard come on today and talk about his life and spearfishing and anything else he wants to talk about. I've known this guy for a long time, and we've competed hard together and over the years. And I feel like it's always been a fucking uphill chasing this guy. But
it's all about being together and having a good time.
That's right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, day.
You're half his fucking size.
Yeah, somebody told me once. Well, maybe it was you that said that. It's like, oh yeah, it's that long arm reach,
You gotta get a baseball bat and just, start with the knees.
There you go.
That'll drop me a couple feet right there.
So I asked some guys to send me some pictures. So maybe we'll take some pauses here and there and pretend that we're gonna get some pictures and show them of like maybe some of your rad catches. All right.
That's cool.
Okay. So like I mentioned, we've been competing together in the Fathomers for like 15 years.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
15
Time
years.
flies, man.
It's
Every
been
time I
a
think
minute.
about it, I'm like, damn, really?
I know. Now we're starting to get gray. We're like like when we first started the club, we were looking at all these dudes, all these old gray dudes. Oh, these are the founding members. Ah, shit. And
We
now
got old timers. Look at the old timers.
now we're the fucking old timers, dude.
Now we're the old timers.
You're crazy. Yeah, it's been like 15 years, but
For sure.
Richard has definitely made a name for himself in the sport, and he's an amazing athlete, an amazing competitor, and I'm just hoping that maybe you could share a little bit about that that legacy that you're now like an icon, dude, in my mind.
Well, I mean, it boils down to diving is just like my life. That's I get joy out of it. Competition is just like a small part of it, to be honest with you. I'm actually not even a competitive guy on the boat or something aside from competition. But when you're in competition, you gotta compete. You give it your 100%. And then when I'm on the boat or anything like that, I just like to go out, have a good time with friends, and they're mainly get some fresh fish home and eat the fish and then invite people over. That's what it boils down to it. That's the main thing I'm into this whole thing. And
I feel the same way.
I mean, I'm a hunter by nature. I've grown up to be a hunter. I mean, I grew up in Lebanon. I moved here when I was 13. But growing up, I always had a slingshot in my hand. Like, I would just go around and then, try to hunt something. And then whatever I shot, take it back. And then I would, if I shot a bird or something, I'd take it back and pluck it and then, clean it up. And then I could
With a slingshot, right?
With a slingshot, yeah.
Dude,
It's
that's
in
so
your
crazy.
blood, man.
My stepdad, Ghassan Shalhoub, from Lebanon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mom married him. They were married for about 6 years. That fucker could shoot anything with a goddamn fucking slingshot. Dude. Anything.
I might be a little rusty now, but yeah, he used to be pretty good. I shot few on the fly too.
Nice. Yeah, that's badass.
But yeah, that's how. I mean, that's always been inside me. So I mean, even back home, I would like go, start with a bamboo stick, get a bamboo stick, a piece of line, and then I would get like those big treble hooks. And I would get bread and mix it up, make dough, and I would put the dough on top of the treble hook, and I would go to the ocean there. And sometimes like there's war going on, like I would just I was like only like 7 years old. I would walk to the ocean there, and throw this thing in the water, and all these little fish group up. And I would just yank this thing as soon as they all group on because the bait is on top. Mm-hmm. So I got a treble hook on the bottom.
Nice.
So I would figure things out to try to get get whatever. I mean, back then a little fish like this was awesome for me. I would come home with like a 7 fish or like this big or something. I'll be stoked. I'm like 7 years old though.
That's how I was that way when I was a kid too. I would jerry rig all this shit, and now my son's doing it. So. Yeah,
man. That's how you start. That's how you start. And then when I moved to the U.S., we moved in with my uncle's house at first, and then my cousin, fished a little bit. I was in the garage, and I saw a half of a fishing pole. And I was like, I never seen a fishing pole in my life. And like that was like, I mean, I knew what a fishing pole was, but I mean, like, I never owned a fishing pole. Like, oh my God, this thing is huge. Like, are you serious? I mean, so I went and asked my cousin, where's the other half? Like, where's this? He goes, it's somewhere in the garage. Dude, I looked in the garage for like days. I never found that thing. I'm like so disappointed. I have this half a fishing pole. It's the first time where I can, have my own fishing pole. And then finally, after like a couple of weeks, he found it in his trunk or something, in the trunk of his car or something. I'm like so stoked. I put this thing together, and then I started going down fishing off of 22nd Street Landing. The market's there, and I found the good spots and stuff like that. I used to catch, which you're not really supposed to eat them, but I used to catch tomcod, probably the most polluted fish in the ocean.
God.
But you know what, dude, I came from Lebanon, so I would go and fill up like half a bucket of these tomcods, which was awesome.
You were already geared for that shit, weren't you?
Dude, my immune system is fine. So yeah, that's how I kind of little by little, and then. One time I was on the break wall, San Pedro break wall, because we moved to San Pedro eventually, and I grew up in San Pedro, and I was on the break wall. I saw this guy swimming.
Hold on a second. I didn't know that you were a Pedro guy.
Yeah. I went to Pedro High.
Really?
No shit.
What year did you graduate?
He's a Pedro guy.
Pirates, bro.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I was born and raised in San Pedro.
Yeah, I graduated in '95.
Wow.
I went to Dana High. Dana school for like 2 years. I started in 7th grade, and then I went through San Pedro High and all that.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, but anyways, I was on the break wall. I saw this guy in the water swimming with a couple fish on his belt. I'm like, oh my God, that's the best thing I ever saw. Like, it was me and my friend, like we used to go and did school and go fishing and stuff like that. And then I'm like, dude, we gotta do this. So we didn't have nothing. So first thing we got is our masks, right? That's the main thing you need. No wetsuit, no snorkel, no nothing. We're like, let's just get a hose. And we got the hose, just like rookie stuff.
That's your childhood coming back and making it work, right?
Dude, anything that you could get your hands on. But anyways, we jumped in the water. I jumped in the water. Everything's so freaky, first time in the water, like, whoa.
Yeah.
You got your mask on, and then dude, you got no snorkel and then no wetsuit. And that's how I kind of started. And the next step is what kind of got me to the next level is I was working as a painter, painting houses, and my boss at the time, he's like, yeah, I do spearfishing. I'm like, what? Get out of here. Like, yeah. He goes, you want to come in? Like, hell yeah. He goes, you got your gear and everything? I'm like, well, yeah. He goes, you got a wetsuit? Like, no. he goes, you got to freeze your ass off. I said, you know what? Don't worry about it.
It's no joke, too.
I said, don't worry about it. Just take me.
Yeah.
You know what? So we went to Point Vicente. We went out there, and then I just had a mask. I had a snorkel by then.
Okay, not your garden hose.
Not your hose.
By then I had a snorkel and fins though, but no wetsuit. So I would follow him way out there to the kelp, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours into it, I'm like freezing my ass off. Like shivering.
Yeah.
That bad. So I would actually swim back to shore, get on shore, and warm up under the sun for like 30 minutes. As soon as I feel like I'm ready, I would jump back in the water and swim way back out there.
That's gangster shit right there, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was in the water for like over 2 hours at times. And then he finally got like this nice big sheephead with a pole spear. And to me, that was amazing. So he was kind of like, he's still my idol, but I mean, in a way. Even though his diving's kind of basic, but still, to me, that means a lot, right? It's who got you into
the exposure.
Yeah. So that means a lot to me, and I have a lot of respect for him. I still keep in touch with him, but that's kind of like my main how I kind of started, and then I started, and then obviously when I got in the club is how I went to a whole different level. I met you know Bob Sellers.
Of course.
Good, good guy,
Korean War Bob Sellers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I met him at Point Vicente. I was walking up the hill once, and he's like, hey, you should come by to a club here. We have a club called Fathom Ears. I'm like, oh, really? I didn't know there was something like that existed, So, anyways, that's how I got to know about the Fathom Ears, and I joined the Fathom Ears, and got a sponsor. First year or two, it didn't work out too well. The sponsor didn't keep in touch with me. I kind of went away a little bit, but then I came back, and Bob Sellers actually sponsored me the second time.
It's the Los Angeles Fathomeers, and Bob Sellers is actually one of the founding members of the club.
Exactly.
Back in the 50s.
One of the main founding members.
It was like
exactly.
50, what was it, 56, 52?
Yeah, 57, I think.
A long-ass time ago.
56,
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, long time ago. Anyways, the second time around, I got there, he sponsored me, and from there on, met all the guys, Paul Romanowski, and I started competing pretty hard because, it was a great way to learn different spots. So I stuck with it, and I'm very focused when it comes to competition. It's not about beating.
Yes, you are.
It's not about beating somebody else. It's more about
no. It's a personal challenge.
It's a personal challenge, exactly.
Dude, it's hardcore. And it's the fish you don't get that haunts you for like 3 weeks, right? The one you saw that you didn't get.
Right, and at the end of the day, it boils down to that's how my mentality is right now. When I go out of competition and I do my 100% best, and at that point, I don't care what the outcome is. If I gave my 100%, well, if I don't make any mistakes and I gave my 100%, I'm happy with the results, no matter what. But even if I get first place and I made a mistake, I'm not giving myself credit that day. That's how I am. Like, even if there's many times where I'm first place that I'm not happy with how my performance was that day, because I know I messed up and there was mistakes I made that
spoken like a true elite athlete.
Yeah.
Right, and then if I come in last, let's say, and I did everything right, at the same time I'm not hurt. I'm very happy for the first place winner. I always should go shake their hands and congratulate them. And I got nothing to, I'm not like
you're not sour about it.
No, I'm not sour about it because I know I did everything right, and sometimes it just goes that way. There's only so much you could do as long as you play you do everything right. Mm-hmm. Other than that, there's nothing's in your hand.
Yeah.
Why sweat it?
When the big fish swims in front of you. The big fish swims in front of you.
When a big fish swims in front of you, you mess that up. Then you
kill yourself.
Then you can go and commit suicide and hang yourself.
You turn into a Catholic and flagellate yourself for like
exactly.
3 weeks.
But yeah,
torture.
So that's kind of my base of how I kind of evolved and got where I'm at and so forth.
That's rad, man. Thanks for sharing that. That's the whole part about Lebanon, that's rad, because I knew you were Lebanese, but when you started telling some of these stories, like about the war and how you had to makeshift things, it was a flashback to when I was younger, and I would listen to my stepfather talk.
Right.
And it was the same shit. I mean, the stories he would tell about what it was like there and what it was like to live through that time and losing your voice from screaming at the horror of everything, and then at the same time, all the adventures that he got to go on, because it was just so chaotic during that time. As he was describing it, it's like anything went, anything goes.
Yeah, life just goes the way it is. I mean, it's you're living in time of war, and you get used to it. It becomes normal.
And humans are adaptive creatures.
We
adapt
100%.
to everything.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're going through these times right here, but in reality, back home, listen, life goes on when there's missiles. I mean, when there's missile flying, you just go in your home, but as soon as they stop, you go out and you go on with life. You don't, stop and so it's definitely it's a whole different mentality. But yeah, it's great though. I mean, it's kind of survival instincts.
That's crazy, man.
You just walk out with your slingshot and you're ready to go.
All you need is a slingshot, man, at the end of the day. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, all you need is a slingshot, right?
Oh, that's rad.
Slingshot will get you a long ways.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm hoping we can get some pictures of the tunas and get those in. It seems to me like the tuna hunting has become just the craze in spearfishing, and it has been now for like 6 years. 5-6 years now locally.
Yeah,
right?
well I mean,
the bluefin.
Well, tuna in itself, it's a big game hunt, and people spearfishing have always sought after big game. They've traveled around the world to seek after big game, so it's not like it wasn't going on before. It's just now it's in our backyard,
locally in our backyard.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on here is something that none of us even dreamed about what's taking place right now. I mean, even if you told me 10 years ago this was gonna happen, I would say, go pound sound. And I mean, there's no way. But we got this whole cycle of these fish that's coming through our waters that took place because of different incidents that that everything lined up. But they are here now, and we're taking advantage of it as much as we can, because I know this is more or less a cycle, like anything else in life. Everything goes in cycles, and just like these scientists, like every time they try to watch things like within a year or two. Listen, things change, within 10, 20 years, and you cannot watch something within 1 year. You have to,
you got to look at the bigger cycles.
Yeah, the big cycles is what counts. So anyways, the tunas are here, and I know at one point they will not probably be here.
Well, there was really big populations of tunas decades ago, and that's how Pedro got a really big bump in their fishing industry. They would go off between here and Catalina. And granted, they weren't pulling in, 150, 200 pounders or plus like you guys are doing now, but they were pulling in, 25, 30, 40 pound footballs and, loading the boat.
Well, back in the days, about 80, 90 years ago, we had a good run too. That the guys were getting some big fish. Now, they probably didn't land some of the bigger fish we're landing now, but I'm sure they were there, and they did land some really quality fish, 100, 200 pound fish. We had a cycle that the big ones came through, and there's pictures in Avalon. You've seen those pictures of these guys, rod and reel guys, holding up like 10 bluefin tunas all over 100 pounds. So yeah, we haven't seen that for like 70, 80 years, but they finally back here in the waters.
Well, hopefully it sticks around for a while, because I only in the past 2 years really started getting into that after all these years of diving, and I've been watching you, and I've been watching all these other guys pulling in these massive fish. I'm like, fuck. So, finally have the gear for it, and I tried it last year for the first time, and I hadn't shot one yet, but I did see some that were about 30 feet away,
right?
And they were big. I would put them over 100 pounds. So I'm hoping that this year's the year I start sticking them. I think I'm ready now.
From the looks of it, that this year looks like it's one of the better years we've had. I like
hearing that.
Based on the time these fish are already here and the size they are at this time of year. Because in previous years, they start coming in, what are we in, May now?
Mid-May.
Yeah. That's when they start coming in, and previous years, which the fish already have been here for the past almost a month. And then they're usually this time of year, it's like the 50, 60 pounders, and now we're already seeing the 120 to 180 pounders by numbers. So I think this year, from the way it's shaping up to be, it looks like it's better year than
a banner year.
It could be.
Well, let's hope so, because I'm geared up and ready to go. I want to do this.
Yeah.
What's a banner year?
Meaning like a year to celebrate, a year that's worth putting in writing on a banner, like this was the year.
I'd rather not have it to be a banner year, because a banner year is probably gonna be like, after that it's gonna be start going down. So banner year kind of the height of the thing. So I don't care for it to be a banner year. I like to be better than last year, but not the banner year.
You don't
I'm not
want
ready for the banner year
because
yet.
then that means there's the valley that comes after, right?
I'm not ready for the banner year yet.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
So what's the biggest fish that you've ever caught?
I was gonna ask.
So I guess it would be the let me see here. So bluefin tuna, I've already shot a few over 250.
Wow.
Maybe around 270 or so. 265 is my biggest. I think that's one of my biggest fish. Yeah, I think so. And no, I'm sorry. I shot a yellow fin tuna that's 285 pounds. Probably
That's
like
a monster.
Probably like I don't know, 15 years ago. That was down in Puerto Vallarta.
So how long are they at that weight?
Let me see. It's it's been a while since last season. We measure all our fish, but that's like a 6 foot long fish.
Damn.
Yeah, more or less.
It's
a
crazy
monster,
that it's only 6 feet long, and it weighs 250 pounds. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's fat, because that tail, right? the width of the tail, but then the length of it, where there's actually any meat in it, you gotta, like a foot, right? About a foot with no meat on it.
Yeah, just skinny.
It just goes.
Really fat fish. Yeah, but I mean, we started hunting big tuna from a while ago. Like I was saying, I got that big yellowfin down in Puerto Vallarta like 15 years ago. So we've been doing this from a while ago. So when these fish came in our water, we're kind of ready for how.
Yeah,
to
you already
deal
know
with
what to do.
them.
Your game was on.
Where a lot of guys had to go through a learning curve. We've been doing this for 20 years. So like we already were ahead of the schedule, and we already had our stuff together. So that really helped us stay be successful with these fish. Because it takes a lot. I mean, you have to learn a lot. You have to get the right gear. There's so much to learn, and plus, they're not easy. They're by far they're not. They're getting harder and harder. It seems like they're getting more
They're
wise
getting
to
smart.
diver.
They're figuring out what a diver is and what to
I
watch
think
out
so.
for.
I mean, I don't know if it's contributed to divers' pressure, but maybe their behavior based on what they're feeding on and so forth makes them react differently. Because as they go to the first year, maybe there's plenty of food for them to eat, because these fish eat a lot and they come in big numbers. So as time goes on, they're eating more and more, more and more of their food every year, and they reproduce or whatnot. I mean, whatever they're feeding on. But these bluefin, they put a number, and that's why I think everything is in cycle. I feel like these fish, at one point or another, it's not kind of cost effective for them to go through that water, because they're working too hard to finally find what they got to eat. Because so what they do is they find a new zone, and it's plentiful, because there's not that much pressure from fish like themselves to go through the area. So now they found this new healthy water in California that's so rich, and then at first they're like gorging on so much that all these little bayfish had no real predators. But I think within time, what happens is like, these bluefins will put a number on whatever they're feeding on, and then it slows down, and right now they're more spread out, and you can see their behavior it changes every year, and that's why I think cycles happen, because now at one point or another, it's probably not gonna be worth it for them to go through this water, because it's too hard for them to find food. They might go elsewhere to look for a new body of water that has very, very rich ecosystem that they could go through and eat a lot more easy, than having to go through after 6-7 years of going through this water and gorging on everything that comes in front of them.
Yeah,
I think that's how cycles work. And then when they leave, finally this water will kind of be depleted from the food source, but then they'll rejuvenate, and they'll come back, and sometime in the future, in 80 years, they'll probably make their way back.
Yeah, right.
just a cycle.
So that's how it works. I think this is my theory, at least.
Well, I'm gonna pretend that we're actually gonna take a look at some pictures. So when I get some pictures, we'll be sure to put them on. Can you still hear?
I hear a little bit, yeah. I think so.
Okay, there we go. I lost the hearing there for a second, but whatever. So, anyways, I'm gonna pretend that we're gonna see some pictures here.
Right.
What about the Gulf groupers? I've seen some insane pictures of big Gulf groupers.
Gulf groupers, yeah. I mean, you know what? To be honest with you, my favorite type of hunting is reef hunting. That's where I feel like I can come alive, because reef hunting, there's a lot of like actually hunting instincts involved.
Yeah, and you're like foraging through a forest almost.
It's you're pretty much going through the reefs and trying to see every sign, and what reef to stop on, what reef to spend time. You have to cover ground and then find the right reef to spend time on, and then look for that one fish you're looking for. So there's a lot of hunting instincts going on with reef hunting. Unlike blue water hunting, where you just dive in blue water and then hope for a big tuna to swim by, which takes a lot too.
Right, there's a lot of waiting, a lot of
waiting,
hoping they come up, and I've noticed that it's a lot of work.
A lot of technique too. I mean, you have to look at the currents and everything else. So there's a lot of things to put yourself in a better position. But still, reef hunting, I feel like I come alive. Like it's I just can go, like I just I mean, I know the reefs very well.
Holes.
I'm not much of a
Looking
hole
around
hunter
edges.
because I've always been able to get my fish out of the hole. I feel like I can find the fish out of their holes.
I like looking in holes and seeing a cabezon or a big lingcod hiding in there. Or,
Yeah,
you know.
sure. That's less option for me. But yeah, I mean the golf. I've gotten some real big golf groupers back in the days.
You loser.
I limit myself to how much how many big golf groupers I shoot. They're an older fish, but you know what? All these fish are are going to good use. We're eating them. It's a life, the cycle of life.
Yeah, you know what? I do want to make a comment about that because I put a video up recently of shooting a white sea bass, and some guy on there was making some big statement on our Instagram or my Instagram about, oh, I hope you use that well and blah blah. It's like, dude, spearfishing is probably the ultimate catch and release. You're targeting very specifically the fish that you're after. You're not just, shooting up everything unless you're in a competition, which is a little different, but that's not every day. But, there's no bycatch.
No.
You're very specifically targeting a fish. You catch it, you bring it home, you fillet it, you process it. It's not wrapped in cellophane and styrofoam and sitting on a shelf somewhere on a supermarket where it's gone through countless numbers of hands, and who knows what that carbon footprint is. This is about as raw as it gets. You and a weapon, and you're taking the fish, and that is
selectively the most selective way you can get it.
Most selective way you can get a fish, and the bycatch is a huge deal. I mean, you know how many animals out there are killed by reckless fishing and reckless fishing practices. This is, hunting for yourself and hunting for your own food is probably one of the most sustainable ways to get meat.
Absolutely. And there's another way I look at it. If someone has an issue with this, I think the best way to look at it is if you make anyone who wants to go out and catch their own food, that's the only way you can get food, like out of the ocean or something, and not have to rely to going to the store and buying it where someone actually caught it for you, then we will never have any issues with any overfishing for sure. Mm-hmm. If you had to go catch your own food.
Oh yeah, it's not as easy as
even as a fisherman or even a rod and reel or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But just to eliminate the huge the netters and the huge commercial fishery that provides for all those that don't do the hard work. Mm-hmm. If you just tell everybody, hey, everything is legal, go out, get whatever you want, but you have to catch your own food. Guess what? The ocean will freaking come back to life, and we won't have we never have to worry about overfishing. That's for sure.
The point being is while in micro areas where, like in a little community that just depends on fishing, yeah, it might get a little overfished, but compared to the big picture of the fishing that's going on, the big picture of fishing and what's going on in the commercial fisheries, the ginormous commercial fisheries, it's unspeakable. The millions of tons of seafood that comes out of the ocean every year. I don't know what the exact numbers are. I mean,
we don't contribute too much. We hardly contribute to hardly anything of what we take out of the ocean because it's so minute that it's almost irrelevant compared to what actually gets taken by the thousands of tons or whatnot.
It's a parts per million formula.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, we take a 0.00001% of what's actually getting taken out there. So,
and in reality, like you're actually, you're a person who goes out, who puts all this time and effort and spends more money than what your catch is. But you know what? It's a whole experience that you get out of it too.
Well, it's recreation, and you're weighing your carbon footprint there. Like, okay, so I spend a lot of gas to go out here and do this, but you know what? People spend a lot of money and make a big carbon footprint to have recreation. That's just part of the human cycle. But to have actually a take for food, it just sweetens the deal.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
That's how I see it. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll come back for more.